3, 2, 1, go.
All right, welcome back. So first things first, let's go ahead and trim the body, because when we move this away, the body still is kind of round in the bottom. So let's trim. So you want to tap on the body. You want to use trim, rectangle, and we're just going to trim it. Let's make sure we hit front so that he's facing us. And we're just going to trim right a little bit under where the feet are. So something like that. So that's pretty good. We can actually hide the floor. So we can just go to the scene, find the floor, and just hit the little eyeball. So now you can see all the things on the bottom, and they're pretty level. You can see the tail's a little bit off. But you could always go like this. You can always just take the tail with the gizmo and just move it up a little bit. If you want to make them a little bit more even, but that's even enough, I think. All right, so let's bring the floor back. We'll go to scene. We'll bring back our floor. All right, so if I was going to color this little character, the first thing I would change it from matte cap to lit PBR. You know what? I don't actually know if I said that in the first video. Hopefully I did. I'm gonna have to make a short saying to use matte cap, because I think everyone should use matte cap when they're matte cap when they're sculpting. Anyway, so let's go to lit PBR, and now we have everything. I like to model on a neutral color at first. So we just go to our scene, and well, first let's finalize these things. So let's go back to this little thing. Just hit the mirror and validate, join children. And this mirror, now let's go ahead and rename it to eye dots, is what I always name it. Okay, so we have the eye dots. What are these eyes? Oh, these are the other eyes. Do I want to use them for anything? Sometimes it's fun to use like other shapes, just like randomly. Sometimes you can find some good uses for them, but I don't think in this situation. I think I'm just going to delete them. Okay, so we have the sphere. What are these spheres? Oh, these are the eyes. Okay. We can actually just join them together and just call them eyes. So we'll just rename them eyes. Mouth. This was the other sphere that I can just delete now. It's fine. Okay, so now it's kind of cleaned up a little bit. And we have all our shapes here. So now let's just color them. And the reason why I don't do all the colors first, but I like to change it from white to like a tone. So then when we add lights, it's not just like bright white. It's sort of like using a neutral color when you're drawing. Like I like to use light tan paper. That way you can do the shadows, but you can also do the lights. It's very important. So go to scene, select everything. And then I like to do a kind of terracotta color, so it's sort of an orangish, kind of around here. Anything around here, really doesn't have to be the same color, but anything around sort of orangish roughness, around like, 6 or so, or 0.6. Paint all, something like that. Now I have a color that I always use, so I'm just going to go to it down here. I think, is it this color or this color? I think it's this color. Paint all. So that's how you color things. But this will just be like our base color. But I did that kind of fast, so just so you know, again, see this circle? So when you tap that, this is all your color information. You can make it any color you want. Obviously here with the colors. If you want it to be shiny, you turn the roughness all the way down, and you can see it's shiny. Or you can also use this eyedropper. So we can grab this color. It also grabs the texture as well. So now this is the exact texture as this. So if you wanted to make this shiny, see it's shiny. If you wanted to make it sort of metallic, then it starts looking kind of like a Christmas ornament. So that kind of thing. But of course it doesn't paint it until you hit paint all. So this is a good base to do our lighting, because it's not white. It's sort of like a neutral color. So let's just hit front. We'll kind of put it in the middle, and let's make it a little smaller. So let's let this be our base. So we'll go here to this little camera, we'll do add view, press the little pencil 1 or 11, 1, and hit OK. So this is just our view. Another thing we're going to do is let's change it to perspective. Let's tilt it down a little bit like this. And let's add another view. So we'll add view again, pencil 2. Okay, so now we have both of these views that we can go back and forth with. But I think I'll use the perspective one. So first, lights. This is our lighting right here. The environment. This is my custom environment. You can go to my Gumroad or my website, drugfordave.com, if you want this particular one. This is the one I use all the time. I think it looks great for Nomad. But you can tap on your environment and you have all these environments to choose from. They will all change your lighting, your ambient light. So just be aware that for now we're going to turn it off. Everything should be black because we have no lights. So that's how we're going to light. We're going to start from scratch, from 0. So let's do add light. So this is our first light. Up here you see this is a sun. So this is sort of like the sun, which means it's very wide, very open. Everything is, all the light's coming from here. Doesn't matter where you put the light. I like to put it sort of like the light is coming in this direction. So this white arrow is showing where the light is coming from, which is this direction. So that's why I put it here, because it makes sense. If I was to turn this using these red, that changes, whoops, gotta make sure that you're not on snap anymore. This changes the direction of the sun. So it's sort of like, you know, if we're watching a time lapse of the sun going over the earth or something. So that is the sun. I'm gonna hit undo to go back to the regular. So once you're looking at it straight, when you add it, this is sort of like the default, and it's usually pretty good. So this is a sunlight, this is a spotlight, this is a point light. But for this light, let's use the sun. Let's turn the intensity up to maybe around 2 or so. I always tap these 3 little dots and hit softness because I like kind of soft shadows. Okay, so it's looking good. Another thing I like to do with characters like this is change the material of everything. Maybe not the floor, but, and I'll show you what I mean. So let's go to the scene. Let's highlight everything except for the floor. And let's go here to the materials tab and let's change it to subsurface. And then let's go down here to depth and just scroll this down a little bit. Maybe to around, we'll go maybe to around 0.09 or so. Okay. So we have our first light. Let's go back to our lights. So we have our first light right here. Let's press the pencil and rename it key. So this is our key light. This is our main light lighting our subject. So now let's just clone it. So now we have 2 keys. It's very bright. Let's rename this one fill. So this is going to be a fill light. So we're going to move our fill light from here. We're going to move it over in this direction. You can move it down a little bit and still pointing that way. So we want to point it towards the dark half of our character to fill in those shadows. Now a fill light, we don't want to fill in all the shadows. We just want to make it lighter than really dark, because before it's really dark. See, it's really dark. But we don't want it this bright. So let's turn the intensity down. Okay, so something like that. So you still see that it's a shadow, but it's filled, so we can see. It's not as dark as that. So that's our fill light. So next we'll go back to our lights. We have key, we have fill, and now we can add another light. So we'll do add light. We'll rename this one to rim. This will be our rim light. So let's go ahead and just turn it this way so you can sort of see what I'm doing. So now this is the top view, and this is our rim light. So let's change it to spot. So now we have a spotlight. So we're going to move it here to the back and then off of one shoulder. So somewhere along there, but obviously the beam is pointing the opposite way. So use these rings to bring the, There's lots of things that are going to get in the way. It's kind of tricky. So see how the light is kind of finally hitting him a little bit? So we want to do it so it's kind of hitting him in this direction. So sort of like that. I'm using this orange note to open up how wide this light is. See if I just tap this orange. So something like that is good. So that's pretty good. So now let's go back to our view. Remember we saved the view before. So we go to this little camera and we can hit 2 and it goes right back to our view. Now you see this beautiful rim light. You can move the light around. And I think I want to, remember I was touching the orange node to make it bigger, to make it wider. Where there's too much stuff there now, I can't really find it. So you can go to the 3 dots. And here, the cone angle, which is the cone-like size, actually. So you can make it bigger and smaller. You can make it a little more intense or less intense if you want. Oh, and I'm surprised the softness isn't there. Interesting. Interesting. So now we have a nice edge light. It's hitting him pretty nicely. I wish it was more on the arm, though. That's the only thing that I wish. So maybe I can put it out here and then maybe move it up so it's not, I don't really want it on the ground too much. I want it a little bit, I want it like just on him. So maybe something like that is nice. Maybe I'll move it over a little bit, or let's see, what's another thing I can do? Maybe move it forward a little bit. So there's little things that you can do to sort of make it how you want it. So, okay, so it's looking good. So let's go ahead and clone this light, and let's just name this TD. I used to make this, I used to do this light on the top coming downwards, but you can really put it anywhere. So let's move it up. Let's find him with the light. Yeah, I kind of like just like a top hitting him like that. Maybe we'll turn it up a little bit. So yeah, something like that is kind of nice. So let's go ahead and save. Okay, so I think this is nice, beautiful lighting. Let's go ahead and hit our view again. So we'll go to the camera, number 2. So this is our view. I'm just gonna save it again here. Okay, so now we can color him. We have our lights set up. Last but not least, we can actually bring the environment back too. So if you hit environment and then go down, and if it's really bright, you might have to bring the exposure down. I'm gonna bring it down pretty low. Maybe to around, maybe something like this, 0.8 or so. Okay, so to color it, I like to do post-process. Post-process is, it will make this look like it would when you render it. Render it is just saving the image. So when you render something, you're just saving the image, like your final art. So you go here to this little shutter, post-process, tap that. This is the quality, so you can turn this up. Sometimes you can wait until right before you're gonna render, because once you have this all the way up, it kind of taxes the, your system. But I'll put it up for this, but you don't have to put it up yet. You just want to put it up before you export your image, before you render your image. So now we scroll, you can see these settings. This is actually mine, that I have these settings saved. So once you make any adjustments that you want here with any of this, you can also save it by just tapping here and then hitting clone, and you just rename. So that way when you go back to your post-process on a different project, you can say, oh, I liked how I did the other one, and you can just save it. So that's what I've done. And here's my options. I usually have bloom on. Oh, it is quite bright there. Why is it so bright? Let's turn it down. I like bloom on, but I don't want it that bright. We'll just turn it off. Anyway, I'm gonna turn grain off too. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. So now let's get into coloring. Okay, so I don't even know what I want to color this guy. I feel like I want him like a kind of creamish color. That's kind of interesting, but I don't really want it metal. Maybe something like this. Maybe turn the roughness up a little bit. It is kind of interesting. That kind of pearl color is a bit weird. Let's turn the metalness down. Turn the roughness up. Are we still on this? It's kind of an interesting color. Let's make the eyes sort of a darker version. Let's take the metalness out. Why do they still kind of look metal? So let's do paint all. I think they might look kind of strange because of the subsurface. Just the eyes. So let's see. So we have the eyes here. Let's go ahead and turn the roughness all the way down and then paint. I think that looks better. So let's do the same thing with the mouth. We can use the same color we just did. We'll just do it black for now. I feel like I want it like a light. I feel like I want it lighter though. That's the only thing. I'm gonna change the mouth to opaque. I'm gonna change the eyes to opaque. So you just go up here and change it to opaque. And you know what? I think I want this to be a brighter color. I'm not sure what color, but I want it to be a brighter color. That's kind of a fun color. Okay, and the eyes, what color do we want the eyes? Let's make the eyes like a blue color. That's kind of cool. Okay, so this thing on top, maybe we'll make it sort of a reddish or pink. A reddish or pink gloss. It's kind of interesting. Let's take this color. So remember, go to our paint and let's use eyedropper. And you can do this any color. You don't have to match the colors that I'm doing. This is when you just really have fun with it. You know, I'll make the eyes and the legs the same color. This I feel like should be a little bit of a different color. Do I want it to be white or a darker green? Maybe a little bit of a darker green. Maybe we'll put some roughness in it. Oh, the mouth. I kind of like white. I do kind of like white, but black is like I think black might be a little bit too black. What about this color? How would that look? It's kind of interesting. Kind of interesting, but let's see. Do I like it better than black? The black just feels too dark to me. We add some metalness to it. It's kind of interesting. What if the eyes were that color too? So the importance of just having fun with your characters. All I'm doing is kind of having fun and playing with colors. And excuse me, and it's a really important part of this whole process. You got to just have fun and you got to enjoy what you're doing and what you're making. What if the arms and feet were a different color? I think I like them like that. I think I liked the eyes better blue, but let's see. What if they were like a pearl color doesn't really work. What if they were white? No. Okay, so I know that I'm gonna have him pretty much all the same color. So I'm gonna take the arms and the feeties and the tail. And where's the body? Oh, that's the body, A1. So now I'm gonna take all those and join them together. So when you join them, so now it's easy. We can just see what color we want, if we want a different color. So now that's really easy. Oh, I like yellow. I always make my characters yellow though, I feel like. Maybe we'll change the roughness. The mouth, maybe we'll do like a sort of, use my eyedropper. Maybe we'll change these to just like a little bit of a different color. Yellow, maybe a lighter yellow. Oh, I like that. I don't know why, but I like it. Let's change this to maybe a gray-ish. Why not? All right, so let's go back to our view here. I want to make this edge, I want to make that, I want to give that a little more oomph. So let's take the rim. We're going to raise this intensity. And I think I want to move it a little bit forward, more forward. Let's go back to our view. Okay, it just gives them a little bit more here. I wonder how these would look black now. I feel like with yellow, the black kind of works a little bit better. Let's see what this looks like if it's less rough. What about some metal? Oh, I kind of like that. I kind of like adding a little metalness to it. Yeah, I think that's cute. I like it. All right, so next, I think we're good. So I think if I wanted to export this, now remember, again, you can change these colors. You can make them into wherever you want. This is a little bright here. So sometimes it's good to like check and see what's really making these things bright. Also, sometimes turning off the environment can help too. Sometimes the lighting might look better, but you notice my custom lighting, this is why I can see these little pieces. So if I change the rotation, that it kind of changes. See how nice that looks with these white pops? So that's why I use my custom environment, because I think it looks nice. Okay, so this key, this is what it looks like without it, and it actually looks a little bit better. So that means I'm going to turn, I'll go to key and turn this intensity down some, because it actually looks a little bit nicer when it's not so bright here. Okay, so now that we have the color of this is a little bit boring. So let's change the background. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to tap here, and I'm just going to adjust the background color. To maybe something like that. And then I want to change this to, maybe we'll just make this a little bit of like a matching color. Sort of like that, just to make it a little more interesting. And of course, you can change this to whatever you want. Maybe you want it to be a little bit brighter, or maybe just a little bit stronger of a color, because sometimes that can look really nice as well. I do kind of like the how this looks. And another little trick that you can do, for example, like if I was to use it this red color, I would take this rim light and tap the color here, and I would kind of change it so that it matched. So that makes it look like it's more ambient light that's like hitting him. So there's a little trick. Just go to this rim light. Might even want to make it a little bit darker. And it kind of just makes it look a little bit interesting. So I'm going to go back. I think I'm going to change the background to something a little less. I do kind of like the orange, but I think I'm going to make it a little bit more muted. But yeah, I like it. I think this is good because I can go on forever. So if you sculpt this guy, you know, hopefully I'll see some, you know, just make it your own. Just do some really exciting things, change the colors, add things to it. There's so many creative things if you just think outside the box. Just with shapes, you can make this way more interesting. Like I said, the other ones, you can put like horns on him. You can give him like 4 arms instead of 2. You can turn it around and give him some wings using like cylinders or spheres that you like squash together. There's so many different things you can do. Let's see, if I was to add, let's see, if I was to add a cylinder here and then use my gizmo and raise it up, push it back, and then squash it like this. Oops. I'm going to grab the color of the body by tapping the eyedrop and then just tapping the body. And then I hit paint because I'm still on this thing. So now it's like the same texture and all that good stuff. So I'm going to turn it. Maybe I'll turn it like this. And I'll move it over. And I'll bring back these options and I'll hit mirror. So now I'll have to use the gizmo and kind of figure out how would I make wings out of this. So maybe I'll just do something like, I'm not even sure how I would do wings. Let's hit gizmo. Let's hit the 3 dots. And let's put this post subdivision to 2. And then let's validate. And now let's use our move tool. And I don't know, let's figure out how to make some wings from this thing. So you can take the move tool. We don't want symmetry, but you can like kind of move it around. Like I'm not sure what kind of wings we want, but maybe something like this. Just kind of push and pull. I'm not like a wing expert by any means. But I think these are kind of cute wings. Right? Maybe they need to be a bit smaller. Let's use a line. That way a line kind of aligns it with the whole like project. So instead of being aligned with the actual wings, if you hit a line, it aligns with the project, so that way I can just move it straight forward regardless of where it is. Let's use move and just kind of stretch the bottom out a little bit. Let's stretch. Yeah, so now they've got some little wings here. And you can do some fun things with like the material. You can do like blending or dithering. So if you use dithering, you can turn the opacity down and they'll be like kind of like see-through. So yeah, you know, just have fun, play with it. I don't really want wings, so I'm going to delete these. But I just wanted to show you that there's just a lot you can do. And I just want to make sure that you're remembering to have fun. That's the most important part. And if you get stuck, you know, there's always a way. You know, the Facebook group is actually really great if you have questions. You can ask me, but sometimes I'm not able to get to my YouTube comments, so there's that. But anyway, so I leave you with a little character. For those of you that are interested in really minimizing size, you can tap on all of these things like A106. So you can tap on this, and then you can tap here, go to MISC and decimate. Now decimate will get rid of some of the geometry, but you have to be careful when it gets too small. So see this number, 106K. So if I decimate, now it's 53K. Still looks the same, but this is just like for the body. So let's go back here at MISC and decimate again, maybe one more time. So now it's 13.3, still good. You can tap on the eyes. Those are way too big, 257K. So we'll go here, we'll go to MISC, we'll decimate a bunch of times for the eyes. Okay, they still look pretty good. Mouth is not too much bigger, but we'll go there, we'll decimate once, maybe twice. This up here, we'll decimate. Okay, you kind of get the idea. Still looks pretty good. Eye dots, decimate again, maybe once more. I think they still look fine. And now our little guy is only 41.4K. Same with this, but this is pretty small, so you don't really have to worry about that too much. But now our cat, now it's like, was way smaller than it was before. So I'm gonna bring this into Blender, and maybe I'll do a tutorial on how to just quickly light this in Blender. So if you want to continue this over into Blender, then that'll be the next video. So for this one, if you're gonna render it, just make sure you have the angle that you want. Make sure it looks the way that you want it to look. So I'll hit that because that looks pretty good. And then, oh, let's save. And then we'll just scroll down to render. Right now I have it on transparent background, but if I want this color, I'll just uncheck that. And we can send it off at 1080. The only problem is I'll probably use this for the thumbnail. So if that's the case, let's actually do it a transparent background. And I need to move it because if I'm doing 1080, actually I'll just do a square. That's fine, I'll do a square. Because you don't want this to be like cut off. So I'll do a square and then I'll export to PNG. Oh, that was really soon. That was really fast. Wait a minute, let me check. Let's do max frame sampling at 500. Everything else is good. That was just too fast of a save. Render, square. So now we'll export. So now it's taking a little more time to render it with a little bit better detail. And that's it. And then you'll be able to save it as a PNG once the little window pops up, and then you're good to go. In order to send this to Blender, what we're gonna have to do is export export the little character as a GLTF, and I'll bring that to my computer, and then we can open that in Blender, and we'll go ahead and start in Blender. So the next video will be Blender. Jump to that video, and I will see you there.